Everybody, this is Daisy X Machina, the drag queen detective who investigates all things speculative in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And Lynette is here, yay! And if you're here, please say hello in the chat. And the question is, how is everyone's reading going this week? And Lynette, I want to know about that drag queen mystery that you said you were reading. I didn't do a lot of reading this week. I'm still reading Ink Blood, Sister Scribe. What's the author's name? By Emma Torres, and I think I mentioned last week. It was only like a chapter in, and I felt the writing was a little overwrought. But this is a debut novel, and after the first, I don't know, 3 chapters or so, I didn't feel that way about the writing anymore. It felt like the author just decided to tell the story, which is what I wanted. And it's really interesting because it's a contemporary fantasy, a fantasy set in the modern world. But it reads like a thriller. And I don't know if I've read a fantasy book like that. I kind of want to go to Barnes and Nobles just to see where this book is shelved. I'm about 75% of the way through, about 3/4 of the way through now. And I do recommend it unless the ending blows up. I picked it out because I was like actually looking for a horror, but this is horror adjacent. I wouldn't say it crosses over into the horror genre yet. I mean, the last 25% of the book could completely change my mind, but it's close. It's very horror adjacent, and it's a thriller. It reads like a thriller. So really interesting book, debut writer. Check it out. Okay. About the drag queen mystery book, I really liked the characters. The romance did not do that much for you, but I thought the mystery itself was a little mundane. Yeah, I'm kind of curious about the setup because I assume if it's a drag queen detective, if it's a cozy or whatever, that they work at a club or something, and something happens because you're generally not a drag queen during everyday life. So I'm wondering of the setup. Romance did not annoy you. Yeah, I was just filming my Sanderson videos or video last week, and a couple of his books were very romance, had these romance B plots, but they didn't bother me at all. What bothers me is sort of that young adult type, really heavy-handed romance, very tropey, that I guess many readers like. It's just I don't. I mean, I don't mind a minor romance B plot, but anyway. So let's get started on the look. I was thinking I did that under layer with the blue, then the purple over it. Oh, and I did that for Halloween too. And I didn't take really good pictures, but I had a really good Halloween makeup. Me and Dennis both dressed in drag and went out to a club, which is what we do every Halloween. And which means I go to a club once a year because we really don't go out much anymore. And I had 2 drinks. I had 2 cranberry and vodka drinks. And I guess I don't drink much anymore. Or this bartender was really heavy-handed because I was really feeling it. Oh my gosh. But anyway, it was fun. He was a drag queen who wrote a mystery novel but didn't want people in town to know he was the author. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Oh, I like that. Frank is here. Hey, Frank. How is your reading going? Okay, oops. Let me turn this off. Okay, so anyway, I was thinking about doing pink with an underlayer of red because I did it with orange last time, but now I want to try it with sort of a fuchsia pink type thing. So let me find a appropriate brush. Try that. He wrote it under a woman's name. The mayor was murdered. The mystery writer is a suspect. Okay. All right, Frank's doing well. Kind of curious about it. I wonder if it's going to be like a series. And I'll be using the kimchi palette. I'm just going to do this red and then do this and then maybe these two. Let's see. Oh, I don't know if either of you are into animation. But on Netflix, I just saw the latest animated Spider-Verse movie last night. And I always forget because you're used to like Disney and Pixar, but I forget how innovative and creative the art can be in really good animation. And the Spider-Verse movies really blow me away. I mean, it's true artwork. And it's really edgy, innovative. And it's something you would like expect on like indie animated shorts, not from like a Marvel mainstream movie, but really impressive. I think so. And good storytelling too. Okay, I'm actually going to do the wing, not the wing, but the don't women usually write under men's name? Guess times are changing. It depends on the genre. Romance authors, well, I'm sure it's changed. I'm sure it's changed, um, but a lot of times romance authors who are men write under a woman's name. And of course, James Tiptree, the male genres like I guess science fiction, westerns. A lot of times they would write, women would of course write under men's names. That's or just use their initials, like C.S. Friedman. Um, but I would think like cozy mysteries. I don't want to say it's a female genre, but a lot of cozy mysteries are very popular among women. So it wouldn't surprise me if a man would write under, want to do a female pen name, especially if the detective is a woman. Hmm. Why doesn't this? Okay. Not into most of those superheroes, but yeah, the art itself is fantastic. Yeah, you probably wouldn't like the Spider-Verse movies if you don't like comics. I mean, I like comics, so. Ben Bova's Venus, not good as his Mars book, though I did like his portrayal of Venus and its life form, 3.5 out of 5. Okay. Yeah, I like doing the eye shape this way with drawing the wings first because otherwise I end up going way up high early. Okay. Next read by him will be Return to Mars, but I have been told his third Mars book, Mars Life, isn't as good as his first. Have you read the Kim Stanley Robinson? Right? Was it? I almost say Red Planet. I think it's just called Mars, or maybe it's Mars Red. He had life forms living in the atmosphere of Mars, a very strange life form under the ground, or living in the atmosphere of Venus. I think all this Elon Musk stuff about colonizing Mars is a bunch of hooey, but wants to die there, he's welcome to it. Elon Musk is such a strange character. You know, I've said before, he's kind of like a science fiction supervillain. Okay. Mm. Okay, so I'm going to go over with the pink. So I'm actually trying for a pink look, but the red was just the underbase. So let's see what happens. Actually, I think I need to fill in. You've read all of Kim's Mars books. I would donate to Elon Musk sending himself to Mars. Today said USA is a danger to humanity. Whatever. Don't follow that. Kim's Mars books onto your list would be as deadly as Ocean Gate. Well, being a big Mars fan since, I don't know, Edgar Rice Burroughs, John Carter books, and Ray Bradbury, I would love to see us colonize Mars, but I don't think it's going to be in my lifetime, certainly not Elon Musk's lifetime. Who knows? Maybe he'll surprise us all. Doubt it. Oh, so today I think I'm going to do, because I did that video announcing the nominees of the Hugo Awards. Well, the Hugo Awards have been chosen. So I was thinking about just doing that. And maybe I'll do Shoulder Shove It for December just to get that out of the way. Depend on the time. I mean, how much time I'll have today. But what I really want to do, and I need to prep for it, so I can't do it today. But before the new season of Doctor Who, I want to do some type of Doctor Who video. Because someone emailed me, let's see, let me shout out their name. Yeah, John Crow emailed me with some Doctor Who information, just reminding me that I wanted to do a Doctor Who, some type of Doctor Who video. Okay, now I'm going to go. No, I grabbed blue jewelry today. Why did I think I was going to do a blue look, and then suddenly I'm doing pink? Maybe I'll cut my crease with blue. Sure, no one cares, but thinking out loud. Reading all of them is a long haul. I enjoyed them, but much more skeptical now about this terraforming stuff. Yeah. Because terraforming an entire planet, I mean, there has to be some, it feels like there has to be some technological evolution that will allow it. Would like to see Mars colonized, but Elon Musk heading would be a disaster. It surely won't be in my lifetime. I'm looking forward to how to explain her regenerating back into David. Yes, yes. Elon Musk is a disaster. Rupert Murdoch should have never been allowed to be a U.S. citizen. Okay, going back to Doctor Who. I'm just doing one more. Because the Doctor had surpassed, because if you go back to, I don't know, the fourth Doctor, or I forget when they announced that there was only like, I think 8 regenerations possible, or 10 or something. Because the Master surpassed his regenerations a while back. So they have to explain how the Doctor keeps regenerating long past how they're supposed to. So I think it's going to be that something goes wrong with the regeneration and he reverts back to Tennant or something. Or who knows what they'll do. I really thought the first female Doctor would be Catherine Tate. She would be such a great Doctor. And I was thinking why I didn't like the, what's her name, Jodie Whittaker? Just never got into her. And part of it could be the writing. But when I think back of how she was playing the Doctor, I could sort of see her acting. It was like she was really trying hard to be that quirky Doctor character that Tom Baker did so well, and Tennant. So I think if they would have chosen more of a comedic actress or actor like Catherine Tate, who's a down and out comedian, it might have come across a little bit better. I don't know. I think for my Doctor Who video, I may just rank the Doctors. That should be fun. Okay. So I think that's what I'm going to do for the the pink. But I do want to add black. Who must be one of the longest running shows in TV? It definitely is. I mean, it started in the early 60s, like 63, 64. Someone could fact check me on that. But yeah, I can't think of another series that has lasted that long. Of course, they did take that 20-year break. I remember being so disappointed when I heard they weren't renewing Doctor Who, because it went off during the Sylvester McCoy period. And I thought they were good. I didn't understand, and I still don't understand why they dropped it during the McCoy era. But I will say, I hated his first companion, Mel, who I think he inherited right from one of the worst doctors, Colin Baker. But Mel was just so annoying. But then he got Ace, and Ace is one of the better companions. But then they really screwed up with the American Doctor Who, meaning produced by America. I think what, Fox during was it mid-90s? I forget when it aired, but it was such a disappointment. Kind of screwed this up here. Some of the soaps had longer runs. Really? Longer than the early 60s? Maybe. I don't follow soaps, so maybe you're right, like a General Hospital or something. The daytime soaps, yeah. There was one soap. It was so bad, Frank. If you haven't seen they were going to make a new, they were, going to do a full series, Doctor Who series produced in the US, but they didn't use any of the original writers or showrunners or whatever. And they decided to make the Doctor a sex symbol. And I don't know about you. I like my Doctor who's asexual. And yes, I know there's River Song, but for the most part, he's usually played as asexual. And the best Doctor Who's, in my opinion, you can kind of feel as though they're an alien race. There's just something off about them in a good way. And the other thing they did was they decided to make him part human, which is what? Oh my gosh, I was so annoyed. But anyway, soap operas. There was one soap opera that I remember seeing or getting into and running home from school to make sure I caught it. And that is Dark Shadows. Which of course is the gothic horror soap opera. But talk about low budget, because they were like replaying it, I forget, the Sci-Fi Channel or something during the maybe early 90s or something. So I was like rewatching it, and it's so many, I mean, the stories are kind of good, and it's sort of the gothic horror. But I guess they would film it live or just do one take because like props would fall over and sometimes you'd see the microphone come down. And when they switched to color, black and white, to get those interesting contrasting colors in black and white, the actual colors are really weird. So when they switched to colors, they didn't change anything. So you had these these baby blue candles, and Oh gosh. General Hospital is at 60 seasons. That's kind of crazy. Asexual works better in science fiction. Well, it certainly does in Doctor Who, in my opinion. Like Spock, he's part human, yeah. Shadows is a cult favorite. I'm so annoyed at any hit or romance with the Doctor. I am too, you know. And I mean, the first Doctor had the first companion was a granddaughter, and um, I think by the second Doctor, they just completely avoided talking about her. She might have come up a couple times, but because it's an inference that the Doctor had had procreated somehow, but I don't know. Like when they first colorized black and white films. Okay, so what am I doing? What am I doing? Yeah, I was thinking about, let me see what I have color-wise. I actually don't have a, to do blue, I'd have to do a glitter. Oh well, let's just do it. Susan Foreman appeared in one of the specials, Five Doctors. Yeah, yeah, I think I've seen her before, but it's like they don't really dive into how he got a granddaughter. And for the most part, they kind of ignore her. But I'm glad she does appear once in a while. Okay, so here we go. Oh, I should have done oh well, should have done eyeliner first. But. Okay, so I guess I should just set this. A dark blue. I almost think I could leave this matte. Yeah, I'm just going to leave the eyelids matte. I kind of like this. Okay. Just ordered a book by Cameron Hurley. I've not heard of her. Nope. Nope. Another booktuber praised this book to the skies. I don't know. Might read The Science of Doctor Who next year, or maybe The Science of the Mandalorian. Well, I did notice in one of the episodes of The Mandalorian, they had a Ringworld world. They had a Ringworld strip. Science of Big Bang Theory, but I've only watched some of the Big Bang episodes. Physics of Star Trek. Started the trend. Heard it was a good show, but don't watch fictional TV anymore, and it's too youngish for me to relate to. Not for me. I like I like those shows. Physics of Star Trek by Lawrence Krauss. Read it years ago. Read The Science of Star Trek this year. I have also read Trekonomics on the economics of Trek. Oh, that actually sounds more interesting to me. Okay, I'm going to leave the lids matte like this. Or should I just do a pop of glitter? I have this chunky glitter. Let's just... I mean, Doctor Who's a children's show, or meant to be a children's show. Okay, that's just some chunky glitter to hopefully catch the light. That's all I'm going to do. Trekonomics was an interesting read. We're all fanatics. Read a book about the science of Sherlock Holmes. I guess a lot of that is how accurate the Arthur Conan Doyle or whoever was, because it's not like fantasy science, right? He actually, I assumed he researched his Sherlock's methods. One thing about Star Trek is that Roddenberry was trying to be scientifically accurate, meaning he did seek out science fiction, real science fiction authors to for some of the stories and world building and whatnot. I forgot to wipe off this bake. Okay. Like the science of Star Wars would be pretty thin, but again, The Mandalorian did borrow from Ring World. And I think Star Trek's the only one that ever did a Dyson sphere, those enclosed spherical worlds. But was it Arthur C. Clarke that did the elevators to the moon? Because I have seen that. I think that was in the Spider-Verse show I just watched. And of course, these are what are called the big dumb structures or something like that. The mega structures of science fiction. Probably took that black a little down, a little far, but. Science books about sci-fi in general, James Bond, Star Wars, superheroes. And the challenge I devised for next year, you have a science of category. Oh, that's interesting. Because Arthur Conan Doyle was a doctor, he did have a reasonable understanding of forensics. Was a big fan of the original Star Trek in 7th grade when it first came out, but then lost interest. Oh, really? I guess I was younger when I saw it, but man, I would watch the heck out of that. I mean, when it first came out, I was really young. Like, I don't even know if I started school yet. But the reruns, I would religiously watch those. Elevators to space was a popular idea in science fiction a while back. Yeah, and am I wrong in saying that Clark was the first one that did that? Interest Star Trek waned after Enterprise, but I enjoyed Picard. Yeah, I enjoyed Picard too. And I'm the same way. Actually, I wasn't really into, what's the one before Enterprise? The Voyager, the one with Janeway. I didn't keep up with that, but I did like the Deep Space Nine. Okay, what am I doing? Doing. I know as far as TV shows, I was desperate for anything that was science fiction related. And there wasn't much during the 70s. Certainly not anything good. I mean, there was Buck Rogers. Well, actually, Space 1999 wasn't bad. But I'm thinking like real science fiction. And Battlestar Galactica. In Enterprise, your favorite character was the dog, Porthos. I didn't see it enough. I don't even know who the dog was. You like Voyager, especially like the characters of the Doctor and seven. Yeah, 7 and 9 was cool. I mean, I watched some Voyager more than Enterprise, that's for sure. Clark was the first to propose communication satellites. Hey, cool gamer. Glad to see you. Okay, so Okay. So I need to set this. Okay, so that doesn't look blended. Okay, so I need to do the under eye. So should I do pink or blue? Or I could do some other, I could just go with like purple or something. Yeah, I think I'll do purple just to mix it up. Let's mix it up. Okay. Love that Trisha Heffler babe in the second Battlestar Galactica show. Yeah, I like the second. I like the reboot. I was never a Battlestar Galactica fan, though I did watch all of the original series. Not much choice when we only had 2 TV stations. Exactly. On the Aussie Outback. Yeah, we had more than 2 stations. But I mean, prime time was just basically 3 channels back then: ABC, CBS, NBC, and there was like PBS and maybe a local station. Um, but people just don't understand the limited choices we had. For TV back then. I mean, especially compared to nowadays, where there are just so many channels to choose from. It's ridiculous. I can't even keep track of half the shows anymore. And there's so many paid channels. I mean, I'm going to have to sign up again for HBO simply because my husband really wants to see The Gilded Age. But I would like to, If we do get another channel, I would like to sort of cancel something. Because we have like Disney and a couple others, BritBox. Okay, well, I think this is the eyes. And you can't really tell the purple. I do want to put back some of this blush. Let's add a little bit more blush. Okay. Got our third station, 94 in Tasmania. Yeah, I know overseas it works differently. For us, it was the three stations, but I know in England it's different with the BBC, the couple BBC channels. 1994, got the Northern Tasmanian station. The first chance I got to see The Next Generation was the 5-season episode Conundrum. Oh, interesting. I'm old enough to remember when we only had 3 or 4 stations, but when cable came, things started, yeah, cable changed everything. Used to have HBO, but only watched it for Bill Maher. They have some good series, I think. Like the first couple seasons of Westworld, and there's other shows, I'm sure. The Wolf one, it's a science fiction. Raised by Wolves, something like that. It's not what it sounds like. It's about a robot raising children. But anyway, The Gilded Age is a period drama. But look what I did. But rather than set in Europe or England like most period dramas are, it's set in New York during the... Actually, I'm not sure when it's set. I want to say late 1800s. But it could be the early 20th century. What is the Gilded Age? Okay. So, oh, all those years of knowing there's a Star Trek with no access to it. Oh, and The Sopranos. Yeah. I was in college when The Next Generation came on. And what a great time to watch it because, I mean, with other science fiction fans, because we'd all get together in the student lounge and watch Next Generation. And have opinions and talk about it. Yeah, the first season was kind of rough, but it really picked up on the second season. And poor Wesley Crusher, we hated him in the first couple seasons because we called him Rainbow Bright because he had that rainbow wasn't even a uniform, but a rainbow outfit. But once he started being an apprentice or whatever and wore a regular uniform, then suddenly he was fine. It's a good show. There have been so many Star Trek shows, I've lost track of them. When they finally brought in Deep Space Nine and Voyager on video, I was scouring my library tech course, and there were several Star Trek fans doing my course, so my tapes would do the rounds with them. Oh, I made these lips too big, but God, my stomach's really growling. Yeah, these lips are bigger than I usually like, but I don't feel like redoing it. Videos came out before the shows aired on Australian TV. Used to work in a library, very peaceful place to work. Depends on the library. I did not ever like working in school libraries. Hated working in the family court library. Yipes. Tell you stomach problem. Well, it's not any problem currently. I mean, I do have diverticulitis, but that's another story. But I think I'm just hungry. I love the 6 months project I did for a geology library. Also loved working on the Tasmanian execution database. Execution, like executing criminals. Never liked school or the libraries there either. Okay, so I think I'm on to eyelashes. Never worked in a library, but I did work. I was assistant manager at a bookstore once. Loved that. One of my favorite jobs. Of course, I was like in college at the time, but it was retail. I don't know about Australia, but in the U.S., retail does not. It's hardly a living wage. So unless you own the bookstore, I can't imagine you as an adult working at one and making any type of living. Although maybe I'm wrong, maybe other bookstores are different. I loved ordering books. You felt so powerful. You're the one that gets to decide what books are going to be on the shelf. And I had a little feud with my manager. Because at the time I was really insulted that Kurt Vonnegut would be shelved in general fiction. And at the time I was like, he's a science fiction writer. It's an insult to science fiction by putting him in general fiction as if that's better than science. So I would reshelve him in science fiction. But then my manager would put him back in fiction. But it's definitely an attitude, or was an attitude, that science fiction wasn't, serious writing. I think a lot of genre fiction goes through that. Okay, well, I think this is going to be the final look. I did this fast. Wow. Lynette sounds like a techie. It must be very, well, I'm sure Lynette is very smart. There were 441 people executed in Tasmania, only 3 in the 20th century. All up, 4 of the 441 were women. Interesting. Mainly did library cataloging, really enjoyed it. Love bookstores, but don't know what it's like to work there. Well, you get to like recommend books, you get to choose books. You know, people, I don't know if you ever, I don't usually ask for recommendations from clerks, but people do, and it's kind of fun. And you get to, since you know, stock and shelf different genres that you're not used to, you get more familiar with, like, I remember, well, at the time, this was back in the 80s, but a lot of the like new age self-help Zen books were really popular in nonfiction. And back then there was actually a Western aisle. I don't think they have Western aisles anymore in bookstores because it's kind of a dead genre now. And even back then, half of the books were Louis L'Amour. But yeah, it's fun working at bookstores. And everyone that goes there, you know, obviously usually love books. So. Old Kurt was one of your faves. One of the teachers who took our library tech classes said that she didn't consider sci-fi to be real literature. She said that in a class full of sci-fi fans. Yep. I mean, you used to hear it more back in the day, but I saw a well, I hope so, Frank. DK Moon, thank you for showing up. Joanna was live. I had the beat books. What was I talking about? Oh, I just saw a, I didn't just see it, but within the last couple of years, I saw these serious booktubers that did like in-depth critiques doing Isaac Asimov's Of the Gods Themselves. And one of them was like, it's too bad this is science fiction because it's really well written. You know, and that's just modern times. It's still out there. That attitude's still out there. Okay. This necklace doesn't want to. Okay. You can see where I stopped stopped the makeup. Okay. Execute 437 women in Tasmania. No, just 4 people, right? Is that what Les said? Yeah, only 4 of the 400 something women were, or executed were women. A booktuber that hates genre fiction, he only reads literary fiction. Arguing with the boss or teachers like arguing with the cop, there's no way to win. Okay. Unless you have a good teacher. If you have a good teacher that likes debate and encourages debate, oh, this really needs lip gloss. that can really make a difference. Okay, so for hair, voila, the purple pink wig. I mean, this is a hard front wig, but the front is just too hard, so I'm trying to get the hair to cover it. This is such a fun wig, huh? Yeah, like I said, I thought I was going to do a blue look today, but I mean, I did do it with the lids, but I just started off with pink. Okay, so this is the final look, and I actually like it a lot. Lips are too big, but that's I like how the eyes turned out. Thank you, Lynette. Very nice, Daisy. Now I can join my good friend Jim Bean. I've been waiting patiently. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to be filming the reveal. I mean, you can look it up if you want, but the Nebula Award winners. I did a video of when they announced who the nominees were. Well, now we'll do who actually won, and I may do a Shove It or Shove It. And this week, I can't decide whether to do the Hugo, did I say Nebula? I meant Hugo Awards or the Sanderson video, because both of them are kind of timely, because they just announced the Hugos, but Sanderson just released his 4th secret book, and I'd have this video where I rank them. So we'll see. I'll either do one of those 2 videos this week. Okay, guys, thank you for joining me. Hope to see you next week. And as usual, may all the books you read be blessed.